I received an email basically saying, we've taken down your content. You have dangerous and harmful content. And I knew that that day would eventually come. The problem is that they put layer upon layer upon layer of tech before you're able to talk to a human. But
the world we're stepping into.
Yeah.
I'm personally a big fan of the ETFs. It's a great gateway drug for my mom, for other people who write down 12 words and then crap themselves. Oh my God, what am I going to do with this thing? Yet somehow you can keep a Social Security card your whole life. You can manage to hold that card your whole life.
That's a
but
good
12
point.
words on a piece of paper, oh my God, I'm too scared.
Twitter is like doom porn. Like, you just scroll and it's like, the world is on fire, Category 5 hurricane, election stolen. You know, you're like, oh my God, like 50 rockets hit. You just scroll and that's all you see. On Nostr, it's like, the world is great. I love steak. Here's a picture of my baby. It's night and day.
Do not underestimate the dynamic human spirit that refuses to submit. The world is about to get better. These powers that control censorship, whether it's financial and social, they're all going away, okay?
Hello and welcome to another wonderful, funky episode of You're the Voice. Thank you for being with me. I'm still in Bitcoin Amsterdam. I have two very special guests here today, Muzz and Nico.
Yo, this is awesome. I've like this whole live setup. Like this is very sophisticated.
Thank you very much.
I like it. I'm very excited to be.
When I grow up, I want to be Nico, so I'm learning.
When I grow up, I want to be Ephraim. This is really cool. This is really cool. And
Hey, Muzz.
I'm even super more excited because
Muzz here?
Muzz is here. Next to me.
You know, I don't usually get these VIP invites to hang out with people of this caliber. So I'm just here. I'm going to try and hold my own, and I'm going to be very polite and nice.
You pretend to be a pleb.
After 3 or 4 beers on day 2 of the conference, right at the end, I'm very excited.
Okay, so let's start with what got you excited in the past 2 days. Was there anything that got you excited? And you can say the truth. It's fine if there wasn't.
This year has been so wild in terms of conferences that I'm very happy because I've never been to this conference before, and it's very nice to see people like you and people like Muzz, and the venue is amazing.
Yes.
Right. So, and then I also I love this. I do this. You know, you do the panels and you do the cameras and the stuff. I like it. It's what I like to do, right? So, it's one of those things that's in the memory books.
Good. You're living I think you're living your passion. This is what you like doing.
Yeah.
Like being in front of a stage camera audience. Like I see you do that every day. Sometimes I ask myself, how do you have the power to do it every day? Almost every day.
I don't know. I have no idea. I used to do it 6 days a week instead of 5. I think I was young, stupid, and driven.
Now you're a father. We're going to talk about that in a sec. Muzz, what did you like in the past 2 days?
You're still young and driven. Okay, let's start with that. What did I like? Well, here's a nice change of pace. It actually says sold out for the conference website for tickets.
Yeah.
Right before it started, they sold the maximum number there that they could, and that hasn't happened in a really long time. That has not happened where, you know, you've seen it. And if you were here last year, it was certainly not sold out. So that's pretty darn exciting. That's a pretty good sign of what's coming ahead, is the fact that the conferences are back to sold out and high levels.
Yeah.
And as far as things that I'm excited about, honestly, I've pretty much avoided a lot of these new Bitcoin things. All of these kind of layer 2 things, other things. I've never looked at any of them. I don't know anything about them. I'm going to for my own sake, so I can speak intelligently on them, I'm going to go deep down the rabbit hole of all of these things. I am. I have no idea, honestly. I would love to be able to actually learn why they're terrible. I know why Stacks is terrible. I know why Rootstock is terrible. But all of these new things, I'm going to learn if there's any merit there or anything that's actually happening, or if those are terrible too. Because I can't just avoid it, you know.
Okay. I want to say to everyone that don't know that Mike is the CEO of ThunderFunder and founder of Lightning Ventures, and he happens to be an investor in an insane number of startups. And so it's kind of surprising to me to hear that there is some kind of technology that you don't know. Is there something that is new for you that you've picked up here?
Well, we're all maxis and we're all real people, and we don't deal with any of that stuff. But it would be nice to know about it. I don't know. The minute that I look at things and it's token, this, DeFi, whatever, layer 2, interoperability, they've got they all have the same slide. And it's 35 different things. There's arrows pointing at all of them, and they all go down to a thing, and it's all a time lock, and I have no idea what's going on.
Okay.
But I'm going to actually learn about it.
Isn't it more in the realm of cryptocurrencies, tokenization? Let's tokenize your air, your water, your farts, like everything you do, we can put on the blockchain and trade it. I mean, if that's what it is, then I'm not buying. I don't like it.
I personally love tokenized farts.
Okay.
Huge maxi. No, but you hear all these things that are being built on top of Bitcoin. So to add to Muzz's point, I don't know. There was this runes. I heard about runes, the ordinal stuff. There's a bunch of other stuff too. I still don't know what any of it is.
Nico farts are getting added to Kraken next month. Just as
okay.
So if you want to get ahead of that,
I can't.
Is there a token for it, like an NICF, NICOF?
You gotta check in with Muzz for that.
Okay, Nico is the founder and host of Simply Bitcoin. I didn't say it at the beginning, which is a media company creating Bitcoin-related content faster than the speed of light. I added that. Nico's purpose is to help people regain their financial sovereignty using Bitcoin. I love how every morning when I open my Twitter, you say, "Good morning, Bitcoin or slavery." I love it. Thank you for saying that, for reminding everyone.
Well, that's very kind of you. You gotta have a reason to get up in the morning, right? And
You're the Voice is brought to you by Trezor, the original Bitcoin hardware wallet company pioneering the development of self-custody for crypto assets since 2013, empowering individuals with an open-source device, enabling beginners and experts to easily and securely hold their coins. I find my Trezor super easy to use and recommend it to my friends and family. Enjoy my 5% discount on Trezor products by clicking the link in the show notes and using the code FLAT.
Bitcoin, when I found Bitcoin in 2016, I was at a really low point in my life, and I'll be honest with you, I was just I think this thing is cool and it's gonna make me rich, so I just went all in. And you come for the money, you stay for the revolution, and then over time, you start to learn, of course, what is money. It gave me a purpose, gave me a career, and gave me a huge network of awesome people like you guys. I'm super, super grateful for that. So,
can you share a bit about your background and where you were born?
Yeah.
What got you to do what you do today?
So my background, I was born in Germany to Venezuelan parents. I was raised in Miami. And I had no background in media whatsoever, but I always loved YouTube. I've had 8 years of YouTube University. I know the platform like the back of my hand, and just starting to make media. I remember I was in the Bitcoin Conference 2021 main stage. And a friend of mine who's now head of news at Bitcoin Magazine, he invited me on there, and I wasn't known. And Simply Bitcoin at the time had 400 subscribers or something. And I pitched the idea on stage to the crowd. And what I identified was that a lot of the altcoin channels were using a lot of the tools and tactics that are very successful on YouTube in order to grow these massive audiences. And I never saw any Bitcoin only channels doing that. So I just told the audience, I'm like, we're going to use the clickbait and the thumbnails and all that stuff. But to get people to click on Bitcoin only content, it was just a theory back then. Fast forward 4 years later, seems like it's kind of panned out.
How many followers today for Simply in all the different platforms?
Oh, across all the platforms?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
more or less.
Probably more than 150K, more than 160. If you include my personal handle on there, probably like 200,000 or so. We definitely pack a punch. Like we get a lot more views than what our following is.
Of course.
Just because we optimize a lot of our content to make it YouTube specific, and a lot of other people don't do that. And that's where the YouTube University kind of comes into. Like I've been on that platform for so long, and I know it very well, that if you master the distribution platform of which you're going to put your content, it takes you a really long way. And actually what I've seen is people that work in traditional media, they have to unlearn a lot of the things that they were actually taught, because it actually works to your disadvantage depending on the distribution platform of which you're posting onto. So if you're posting on Twitter, if you're posting on YouTube, and you've been taught to post media a certain way, you kind of have to unlearn all of that, and you have to come to the realization that I'm posting on Twitter, therefore I now have to become a Twitter expert for me to flourish on this platform. And the same thing applies to YouTube. So all of that is just like very interesting stuff, but I think it created an opportunity for Bitcoin only content creators. So you see these massive podcasters like Natalie and Peter, like yourself, also Breedlove, and then you have the Bitcoin only content like Simply and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really exciting, and this all started in 2020. In 2020, there was no Bitcoin only content. It was like in its very, very infancy, and then now it just bloomed. Like now it's everywhere. So it's really cool to see.
It's amazing, and we're going to come back to you with the recent censorship by YouTube that you loved so much and know like the back of your hand. Let's move to Muzz with ThunderFunder. Can you tell us a bit about your new venture and what led you to set up ThunderFunder and where you started from, maybe?
ThunderFunder.com? ThunderFunder.com? Sign up for free at ThunderFunder.com.
1-800-ThunderFunder?
1-800. I actually want to buy
You want to buy?
I want to buy 1-800-Thunder. So I'm all about democratizing access to Bitcoin startups.
Yep.
And otherwise inaccessible ways to invest in these companies.
Yep.
Because if this is what happens in the 90s with what happened with the internet, the companies building on or around or with Bitcoin are going to be super valuable, and they're going to outpace the price appreciation of Bitcoin, or they're also going to go to zero, and you have to know about the risk. So instead of being an investor who is forced to invest in a fund with a $250,000 minimum or a big minimum and letting someone else decide, I like to be able to offer those opportunities to individuals and say, it's your money, you decide. Get started angel investing with small amounts, read updates, see what you can learn in the process, and then the numbers can always go up later. So,
what's a small amount?
With Lightning Ventures, it's $1,000, but you also have to be an accredited investor.
Yep.
With ThunderFunder, pretty much anyone can invest globally, and we're going to have the amounts less than $1,000.
Okay.
And you can also fund in Bitcoin. So in theory, if we had an opportunity to invest in Strike, you could literally open your Strike wallet, pay an invoice for $500. You could fund that venture investment into Strike's deal, all right there, and still have the upside. So crowdfunding gets mixed up with all these other platforms. Indiegogo, GoFundMe,
yes.
Aunt Mary needs a new kidney, whatever it is, right? That's all great and all, but that's not equity, okay? Equity crowdfunding is a fairly novel, new part of this space.
I want to invest, so what do? I just go to ThunderFunder.com?
You can go to ThunderFunder.com and you can invest in whatever deals are coming there, Or you could be a media company, like if Simply Bitcoin
Yeah.
wanted to do a revenue sharing agreement
Yeah.
and sort of raise some money, like
Yeah.
maybe $500,000 would allow him to go to some 24/7 awesome network and take it to the next level.
Sure.
He could do that raise on ThunderFunder. We could close the deal in Bitcoin, and then he would have investors and a full army of people that would be supporting him, right?
And a
That would-
community, yeah.
Right. They would also not just supporting him like, hey, I want you to make that documentary, bro. Here's some money, but they would be entitled to some profits in return.
I like it. Do you like it?
I love Muzz. He's gonna sponsor Simply. So I love Muzz. I don't have the technical background that Muzz has in investing and all that, but I go by my intuition a lot. And one of the things that I love about Muzz is I've seen him work on this for the last 2 years, and I've seen him go through the struggle of like creating the idea and then going through the different iterations and the trials and tribulations to get to where he's at right now. And I've interacted with him these last couple of years, and I have memories from the first time he mentioned this to me.
Yeah.
And look at where we are now 2 years later, and he's doing professional,
Yep.
presentations about this idea that has been marinating in his head. So when I see that, I feel that there's true passion and belief behind his ideas, and he's been able to manifest that and create that into reality. So I might not know any of the technical aspects, but the human side of it, I saw it, and I saw the suffering that was put in order for him to get to that point. And I think anything in life that is worth building requires that amount of effort and
Yep.
passion. So
There's something cool here. So when I was getting started, the first fund was no fees.
Right.
Literally running it for free for friends and family, for me to get my start, to do what I'm doing and build out the network, okay? So I went to Nico.
Yep.
We were already maybe halfway through it, and I was like, hey, do you want to throw in, do you want to invest in this, right? We're not talking about a lot of money here, but it's a friends and family deal. And he did, and he invested in it, and we were just outside right now, and he met one of the co-founders of a company. And coincidentally, he's invested in that company, right, through the fund, because they're a portfolio company. So it gives you a lot of other exposure to a lot of other things where you didn't necessarily would have really thought about it, right? But he's in that situation, and I'm like, hey, you're aligned with their success. You're both aligned. So
This is really the manifestation of you build the future that you want to see. You guys are so deep into the Bitcoin ecosystem, and you love it, and you want to see it succeed. Not just the ecosystem, but Bitcoin network in general. And you're actually building stuff for people in this community. You are making this happen. This is a beauty.
But that work is relative to the individual, because I remember when I met Nico, and he would just say to me constantly, I'm grinding, bro. I'm grinding, bro. He just has a way of saying, like, I'm grinding, And it's true. It's a grind. It's a daily show, whether you're in the mood or you're not in the mood.
That's
you're
a
getting
big
up
commitment.
and you're doing it. But look at you. Look at where you've come, right? You're grinding through it.
Yeah.
And you put certain things first, and you've both gotten to a level, so you can say, oh, well, all these other people, they're doing all the work, but you guys are doing the work, to get where you're at.
For sure. Thank you. Nico, I want to go back to YouTube. What did they do to you?
yeah, so
And were you surprised when it happened?
I wasn't surprised. I was mentally preparing myself, like on an emotional level, for a couple of years, because
So, for people who don't know, Nico's channel was banned from YouTube.
Yes.
That was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was like about a month ago.
Yeah.
I received an email basically saying, we've taken down your content for violating, it's dangerous and harmful. You have dangerous and harmful content. And I knew that day would eventually come, but there's a very small window that if your channel is not at a certain size, and if you haven't built a big enough reputation, you can't make enough noise where a human being will actually look at your channel to see if it actually violated the terms of service.
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen happen to multiple smaller channels, they don't have the following. They don't get a Forbes article written about them. They don't get a Zero Hedge article written about them. They don't get the entire Bitcoin community backing up, saying like, simply Bitcoin got banned, right? And YouTube just doesn't get a human to look at the content. So they say, you know what, the algo said this is harmful and dangerous. This is harmful and dangerous. I'm sorry, right? So we were lucky enough to have the Bitcoin community behind us and get a little bit of legacy media coverage where we made enough noise where an actual human being reviewed the content that was flagged harmful and dangerous, and they saw, oh, wait a second, no, they're just making Bitcoin content, and they reinstated the channel. So I think it's a very scary time, and the reason that I knew that it was going to come is because it's happened to Bitcoin Magazine, it's happened to Swan's channel, it's happened to BTC Sessions channel. So I knew in my head, I'm like, one day you're going to get an email and they're just going to say, sorry, your channel's gone. And I had a game plan and it took me like a year and a half, 2 years to build this out. I said, I need to have such a network that the day that this happens, I'm going to reach out to every single one of these big names and I'm going to say, my channel got banned, can you retweet this?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. And every single person, just the community rallied behind it. But I was very fortunate because I've heard horror stories that people just don't get their channels back. They just don't get it. It's extremely proof of stake. And the reality, and then what a lot of the feedback that I'll get is like, Nico, then why are you posting on YouTube? What a lot of people don't realize is that YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. So if you're trying to make a video only play and you don't have a large enough platform, you don't really have another choice. Like if you want to make it and have any chance, it has to be where you grow your base on YouTube. Once it's big enough, you could take them anywhere and they'll follow you. But initially, you don't really have a choice, and especially if you want to be competitive, right? So yeah, it's a scary place that this platform has so much power, but that's why I'm so bullish on protocols like Nostr and alternative video platforms like X and Rumble that are at least providing alternatives for people that do get deplatformed. And what I was really surprised about, Efrat, is that the 2 days that we were not able to live stream on YouTube, everyone followed us to Rumble.
Of course, yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy cow.
Surprised, yeah.
Like we're getting better live stream numbers on Rumble right now than we were getting on YouTube. This is crazy.
And since then you continue doing Rumble?
Yeah, so I've gone above and beyond to not only post on Rumble and X, but we are posting on Nostr. Every single live stream goes on Nostr. We're getting maybe like 20 people watching lives. It's not much.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It's not about the number. It's about being multi-present.
And it's about supporting the protocol.
Yes.
Because from my understanding, it's really me and BTC Sessions that are really regularly posting live streams on there. And if we're the ones that are just going to push the Nostr content forward, I will happily do that because
it's the grinding that you were talking about.
I didn't appreciate Nostr until I got deplatformed. The moment I got deplatformed, I said Nostr's the future.
Yeah, you met it through the pain. Yeah, I get it. Muzz, do you want to add anything on censorship online?
Look, it's terrifying. Not for someone like me, I'm not a content creator, but you put so much work into those YouTube numbers and learning the algorithm and doing the work over the years, your work managing other large companies' YouTube channels and putting some real gas on their fire. You put so much work into it over the years, and then you wake up one day and poof. And you're just kind of setting yourself up, whether you own your audience or don't own your audience, and how do you reach them, and some will follow you, but a lot of people are lazy, right? They like the YouTube thing, and it's on their Roku, and how are they going to find this other thing? And that actually just terrifies me. I think it's getting better, actually, with a lot of it now, especially with X, but it terrifies me that you can work so hard to build that business, to build that audience, to build your livelihood in the future, and then just poof. poof, you have to figure it out. It's really scary.
I learned it first in 2005 or 6 when I had an e-commerce store on eBay. It was just the beginning of e-commerce, but I put my heart and soul into that store, and I was selling back in the days it was fashion and accessories. And one day eBay closed my store because of something. Even back then they had this automatic enforcement. And once they closed it, I realized that I am in the hands of this big brother that can close my livelihood down at any moment. And from that early on, I understood that I have to be present in as many platforms as possible, because I'm a person who just speaks all the time and creates content, even before I did that for a living, you know? So I try to spread myself as much as I can between different platforms. It does mean that you have to manage a lot of channels, and it is more work, but then you have redundancies. And then you have also a lot of followers from different demographies and different groups, and it does prove itself with time. It's a long-term investment, but it's smart.
Yeah, it's totally worth it not to put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
And, a lot of these platforms, like what people don't understand is that they're super proof of stake.
Yeah.
They're super proof of stake. Like the email that I got from a human being at YouTube apologizing was like, I was like, wow, these are the nicest people on earth. They're like, we are so sorry. And it's like, Emily, and I responded, Emily, thank you so much for your email. And then she responded back. So there's actual people. The problem is that they put layer upon layer upon layer upon layer
of buffering,
of like tech before you're able to talk to a human. But the moment you're able to talk to a human, like, things
but
just
that's
happen.
the world we're stepping into.
Yeah.
That's in every tech platform. That's what we're going to see.
Yeah.
And that's pretty crappy.
I mean, that's why I love Nostr.
Yeah.
Like, there is no, like, you know, there is no support team, or there is no whatever. It's just like, it's just there.
It's a jungle.
And it's there forever, and you can't delete anything.
I know, it's a jungle. For a content creator, not being able to edit or delete anything is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Took me time to get used to that idea. Sometimes I post stuff and I have a mistake. I post it again. I go, ignore the previous one. This is the right one.
I like it. it. And it's really interesting, too, the psychology behind, and I'm sure, Muzz, you know more about this, the psychology of when you post on Nostr versus the psychology of when you post on Twitter. When I post on Twitter, it's like a business transaction.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking, okay, if I post this and this doesn't get 100 likes, I'm going to delete this tweet, or it's just not worth it for me. So I put in a lot of effort into thinking what I'm going to post.
Yeah.
On Nostr, I'll have a random thought pop into my head, and I'll go, send. And I don't care. Like, I don't care about the interaction or the growth or the thing. And I think it boils down to the fact that on Twitter, you're being manipulated by your dopamine receptors are being hijacked by the algorithm. And on Nostr, it's just organic.
Yeah.
So it's a much more human, like it's an actual human interaction versus like you're being hijacked and you're being forced to, because like Twitter is like, it's like doom porn. Like you just scroll and it's like the world is on fire, category 5 hurricane, election stolen, you know, you're just scrolling.
Middle East war.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, rockets over your head.
9/11 clips.
You're like, oh my God, like 50 rockets hit, like it's like you see, like it's like you just scroll and that's all you see. On Nostr, it's like the world is great. I love steak. Here's a picture of my baby. It's night and day.
Yeah.
It's night and day.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, listen, guys. We're 15 years into Bitcoin lifecycle. There's this cypherpunk ethos that came along with the invention of Bitcoin. And there recently is an institutional adoption and a lot of suits, you know, talking about this asset and calling people to invest in their financial tools that are backed by this asset, which is totally different than what Bitcoin started as. So, you know, as two people that have been in the industry for a long time and have been going with the journey of Bitcoin, seeing it developing, waiting and anticipating hyper-Bitcoinization and wanting more people to adopt this. How do you see where we are today, and how do you see where Bitcoin is going to go, and do you like that trajectory?
I'm personally a big fan of the ETFs, and it's unpopular. Okay.
You say freely whatever you think, dude.
It's a great gateway drug. It's a great gateway drug for my mom, for other people who write down 12 words and then crap themselves. Oh my God, what am I going to do with this thing? Yet somehow you can keep a Social Security card your whole life. You can manage to hold that card your whole life.
That's a good
but 12
point.
words on a piece of paper, oh my God, I'm too scared.
Oh, that's a good point.
So I like that part of it. I like the fact that you can do other things with it, right? I can get a normal margin account in my brokerage account, and I can buy more of a, not like a 10x long trade, wipe me out, sort of BitMEX thing, but like I can have like a, what's the word? Oh shit, I can't think of the word.
I thought I was the only one, because English is not my mother tongue. I thought I was the only one getting stuck like that.
Orderly. You can have an orderly margin account, and you can be like, yo, I'm going to buy this 2x long MicroStrategy right now, and I'm going to full on degen. But then if you have a margin call, you get like a nice email that says, hey, you've got like 5 days to figure your shit out, or we're going to sell some of this. Not like, oh my God, I borrowed on whatever this, and it's like wiped out, I like a lot of those things. I think it's good. But this is still cover for the they will fight you. ETFs is 100% they will fight you phase, right? It's like a decoy agent of they will fight you. This is not, it's good and bad. It's been a crazy year. I mean, look, we had all-time high. It was a halving year, ETFs, banner year for Bitcoin. Like, it's killer. It's a great year. And still at this point in time, every tick down, oh my God, it's below 60,000 again. What's going on? The 58K gang they're gonna lose it.
And where are we going? Where do you think it's going?
It's going to zero.
I wish. I got a bid for 21 million.
It's going up forever, Laura.
The ETFs are interesting. Like, I see Bitcoin as two things that are occurring at the same time. So there's Bitcoin as the investment, and there's Bitcoin as the revolution. I'm hardcore believer in the separation of money and state, and I think that a lot of the censorship that we see and a lot of the overreach from government stems from a root issue, a root cause, and I think voting is important, but it's a half measure, really. And the root cause is the state has the ability to just create money for free, which is insane. So it's like, let me just fund this war for the end of time, and I'm just going to continue to print money, steal energy, work, and time from the populace to fund this war. It's insane. Like it's like a bloodbath of a terrible idea to give that much power to politicians. So I really believe in the idea, and maybe it's super idealistic of me, and maybe I'm naive, but I have my daughter. I'm looking at her right now, and it's like, what world do I imagine her living in the future? And I really believe that if we manage to pull this off, and I think we'll be able to, the world will be a much better place for it. It'll be much more peaceful. There'll be much more prosperity, much more hope, much more optimism. Like it fixes things. And I think fiat breaks things. And I think it not only breaks things on a financial level, but I think it breaks people on a spiritual level.
Right.
And I really believe it drives them crazy.
I agree.
So there's the revolution aspect. The ETFs are terrible for that. Like what Muzz, it's like just let's put it all in Coinbase. We'll brand it differently, but MicroStrategy's Bitcoin is in Coinbase, and BlackRock is in Coinbase, and 8 out of the 9 ETFs, they're all in Coinbase. Perfect, convenient honeypot for the U.S. government to 6102 order it. And then there's the investment aspect. The investment aspect, it's extremely positive because all of a sudden your mom, your aunt, your grandfather, whatever, it's like, oh, I can just go on my Charles Schwab account and I can buy Bitcoin.
I was actually having a discussion with my father-in-law, and he found like this ETF-related product where it doubles the volatility. So like it doubled the volatility on the way up, and it doubled the volatility on the way down. And he just goes like, he's like, I'm going to put in 25% of my stack into that. So, and I'm like, what about self-custody? He's like, I don't, it's
risky.
Charles Schwab, you know?
That's risky.
So yeah, I think there's two different components. Positive on the price side, potentially dangerous on the revolution aspect.
Okay. What did you want to comment on what he said?
Well, I can't remember now. The thing with the ETFs is, and the options, it allows them to play games with the price. Okay,
Right.
this is
For
another
sure.
way to
For sure.
affect the price. But just
Which will then affect the perception
Right, I mean,
of the public.
look at how much naked short sellers there are with gold and silver and that
Yes.
whole market and every
Yes.
other manipulated market. But like my mom, for example, it was like, I've been in Bitcoin a while.
Yeah.
I've never had her, she want nothing to do with it, whatever. Got her a little bit of the ETF, got her the DCA with 2 American exchanges.
Yep.
Now I'm going to go home this Christmas. I'm going to give her the Secure Element Trezor. You know, we're going to like go through it one by one, and then she's going to, but if I went to her day one and I was like, yo, it's a 6102, the government's going to come after you, they're going to seize all your assets, your 401k, like it's all up for grabs, we got to get it out of here. Like it would be over. She'd be like, no, I don't want anything to do with that, right? So it's like, it's steps to get there.
Right. It's a gradual journey, so there's a good and a bad in it. Okay, I want your opinion about the recent statement we've seen from the IMF on El Salvador. It was pretty funny to see how they're like scared of Bitcoin. They're like, oh, you guys at El Salvador, you're playing with your Bitcoin too much. We want you to like step back a bit and, don't be excited about it because here we are. Mommy and daddy came to calm you down and bring you back home when you're playing outside and becoming too wild. So what do you make of that statement that they made? To me, it shows like how desperate they are, but I want to get your take.
Yeah, so it's hilarious because like the GDP of El Salvador is 32 billion.
Okay.
Elon Musk's net worth is 265 billion. Okay, he's a very small country, like developing, right? In the grand scheme of things, on an economic scale, it's really not that big of a country. Why do they care so much? The reason they care so much is because they're absolutely terrified of seeing other developing countries look at El Salvador and see Bitcoin as an alternative method than the IMF.
Right.
And the IMF is essentially handing out these predatory loans to enslave these developing countries.
Yes.
And they see El Salvador adopting Bitcoin successfully, and they're like, wait a second, we might not be needed anymore. That's where it comes from. And the jargon that they pull out is so insidious because it's like, we're worried about the financial stability of El Salvador. Look, when they first reacted to Nayib Bukele passing that law, they said and you Efrat, you know this because you worked in traditional media, right? The whole media apparatus, like white blood cells, attacked this small country and Nayib Bukele. They said everything they can think of.
Smeared him completely.
It was horrific. And then they went to Argentina and they said, hey, Argentina, we're going to give you a loan, but one of the conditions of the loan is that you have to de-incentivize the adoption of alternative non-sovereign digital assets, aka Bitcoin. Fast forward a year later from that, El Salvador's GDP is reaching all-time highs. The murder rate falls down to record lows, making it one of the safest countries, safer than some American cities. And Argentina goes through double-digit inflation.
Right.
So the country that followed the IMF's advice, I think they've bailed out Argentina like 5 times, once again finds itself in a horrific situation. And the country that didn't follow the IMF's advice is succeeding and flourishing, and it's becoming an example for the rest of the region.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, okay, you guys could hide behind the fancy emblems and the fancy words and all this sophisticated language, But it's not that complicated. If you adopt Bitcoin, whether you're an individual, a country, or a company, your life, your country, your company is going to get better because it's on a sound money standard.
Yep.
If you don't adopt a sound money standard, you're just going to get poorer. And the same mistakes are going to continue to repeat themselves. I believe the IMF was acting in a malicious manner. I believe they are insincere in their statements. But when I heard that lady's voice and the pitch in her voice, what I'm hearing is fear. They're scared of it. They're scared of it. They can't make it go away because it's decentralized.
Yes.
So therefore, they try to slander it, but it's not working anymore.
Yeah, and they may try to coerce as well. Muzz, you want to add something to that?
Not really. Nico said it best, but just real quick, a strong leader in El Salvador. I don't think that the murder rate dropping is related to Bitcoin per se, but just having a leader who actually is taking care of the people and doing what's best for the people. And I've been to El Salvador 3 times these last 3 years, and they're losing their grip on El Salvador. But after talking to Abubakar and 50 some African countries, they don't have that power that El Salvador has. El Salvador can almost give the middle finger and say, we're going to do what we're going to do. The African countries cannot do that. They're still completely reliant on the IMF, and they're unable to really do that yet. So it's where they still have their thumb on the level of control versus El Salvador. El Salvador is a great example. I mean, you said it best. It's such a small amount. Why do they care?
Yeah.
Why do they care?
Because it's an example. I totally agree with you guys. My friend Alex Craner, who's a geopolitical analyst, added when I shared that, El Salvador better watch out. Both the 2014 war in Yemen and the 2019 coup in Bolivia followed after these nations had rejected IMF's offers. So he's just alluding to the mafia tactics of these organizations. And I then tagged Nayib Bukele on that comment. I don't know if you've seen that, but I'm sure he's aware of what he's doing, and this guy has some balls.
Yeah, I mean, to say the least, it's the old age adage of Bitcoiners. We love to say it, right? Bad times create strong men create good times. I think Nayib Bukele is totally conscious and aware of the situation. I mean, the speech that he gave at one of the RNC conventions in DC, where he's looking at the camera and and said, look, your taxes don't pay for your government's expenses. It's the fact that they're printing money. That takes some big cojones, right? He is completely saying the quiet part out loud, and then he did a recent interview with Tucker where he was basically calling people demons and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? He probably has some good security.
I hope for him.
Huge fan, by the way.
Me too.
Huge fan.
No, me too. I'm going there for the first time. I can't wait to see
Bukele 2028.
Okay, Mike, Bitcoin startup funding. What's needed in that space? What's missing in that space?
Well, it's going to be great when we're in a full-on great environment, right? We just went through terrible times, right? We went through the emperor's naked, the tide is out, BlockFi, Silicon Valley Bank, Celsius, every possible scam and sham and thing that you could imagine all blew up, right? The maxis were right. It was all terrible. It was all going to happen. Everything was great. And literally, that's exactly what happened. It went exactly as it did from Mt. Gox. I still have a valid Mt. Gox claim. Nobody was saying not your keys, not your coins in 2013. That wasn't yet a thing, right? You just trusted them and you learn from those mistakes, okay? Or you don't learn from those mistakes and you make those exact same mistakes again. Nobody lost funds like that on Unchained or companies that are trying to do lending in a good way. So what's needed now is really, honestly, getting paid 5% not to invest over this past while, that's a pretty good deal, And the IPO market has just been dry. There hasn't been money distributed back to people. And with a few things that we have coming up, okay, especially in Bitcoin land, which is novel as it is, there's going to be money finally getting back to investors, and then those investors can decide to put it back into other deals. So it's still like a super challenging funding environment, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 rounds between $2 to $3 million max. Those are not big numbers. I mean, in the frothy part of 2021, there was $50 million, $15 million Series A. That stuff is not happening. Maybe it's happening in DLC ordinal land. I don't really know, okay, because I'm not really following it. Maybe that's where all the money's flowing.
Yeah.
But in like normal land, there aren't too many of those rounds, and they're coming back soon. I mean, we're almost there. I mean, you're 10% away from an all-time high, give or take. So like, it'll be here before you know it. You know how it is. It all of a sudden, it just changes in a blink, right? A couple of down days, people are not feeling good, and then all of a sudden,
well, I don't.
We're
It's
back.
gonna be my first bull run. Dude, I'm in the space for 2.5 years.
Oh, okay, but yeah, but you have to experience the bear. You're forged by the bear. You earn your stripes in the bear, and then the bull is you get like 9 to 12 months of euphoria, and then it's back to
Depression.
3 years of just like slow stacking, and then the cycle repeats if it's going to repeat.
Yeah.
But just to kind of add to Muzz's point, so like I have a little bit of it, and I'm absolutely sure Muzz does as well. I have a little bit of insight into different aspects of the industry. So like obviously I'm a media play, but I get numbers in terms of exchange volume and then how the miners are doing.
Yep.
I'm telling you, it is the entire industry is like connected by the hip to the price of Bitcoin. And it seems like the VC Bitcoin world is as well. And it's like your numbers, like whether it's views, it's dependent on the price of Bitcoin. Mining, depending on the price of Bitcoin. Exchange volume, depending on the price of Bitcoin. Everything is related to the price of Bitcoin.
Wow.
And if the price of Bitcoin pumps, the entire industry just like flourishes. So like I think our industry is like made for masochists, because it's like you're dealing with like 3 years of like pain, like really 1 year of like
Masochists are people who are very committed and strong.
yeah, but it's psychotic in a way. Like maybe like 1 year of like where you think you're gonna go out of business, 2 years of like melancholy, and then 1 year of euphoria, right? Is that? I mean,
pretty much. I mean, you're going to be having a lot more sponsors and a lot more. Everything's better in the bull market, right? Whether it's investor demand or everything, it feels better all the way around.
All right, Nico, what's missing in the Bitcoin media space? What's needed?
One of the things that I actually talked about this today. Like there's something called the Bitcoin echo chamber, right? So I think your podcast is a great, like, it's awesome because you've built up an audience that
much more diverse.
They aren't following you because of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's true. They get annoyed with me because of Bitcoin. Some of them.
But you expose them. You expose a normie audience to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then you see like, wow, Bitcoin is a tool to fix a lot of these issues that the world is currently going through.
Yeah.
As someone who started in Bitcoin media and has grown his audience from that, I have the exact opposite problem.
Correct, yeah.
Where my job is to break the echo chamber. And I don't see myself as being at the top of the funnel, to be honest with you. But when I hear people like Tim Pool, Joe Rogan, Donald Trump making an appearance at the Bitcoin conference, RFK making an appearance at the Bitcoin conference, Russell Brand making an appearance at a Bitcoin conference, that is breaking the echo chamber.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden they're exposing their audience to an alternative non-sovereign form of money. And even if like 1 or 2% of their audience actually listens, compound that over a decade, and you'll see where we're going to end up. And that's where my audience grows. Because Russell Brand now just minted a bunch of new Bitcoiners. They're going to want to consume Bitcoin content.
Yep.
And I'm going to be like, all right, I'm
ready
ready for you.
Yeah.
So all I could do is just continuing to try to push against the walls, but the pie is only so big. It continues to grow year over year, and it's very dependent on the price also. You get these huge influxes. Like, it is insane where you see all, like, all the big channels and like all the big influencers, like I have the data set, it's nuts. You literally see them going from non-existent, like they don't exist, no one knows who they are, to 2021, you just see
Spiking
their
up.
subscriber
Wow.
viewer count going up. They establish a base, they lose maybe like 20 to 30% of their audience. 70% of their audience sticks around.
Beautiful.
So, and then the cycle repeats.
Yeah.
So then you get a new
You
influx of new
compound
people.
every time. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you
Yeah.
kind of go from there. So I would just say it's not really, because again, we're not really top of funnel.
Yep.
It's really people like yourself and
Correct.
people that have built an audience outside of Bitcoin, funneling people into Bitcoin, which obviously once you start holding a significant amount of your net worth in Bitcoin, you start to ask questions, and that's where we come in.
Yes.
We're like, we will confirm your biases type of thing, you know? So
You're the Bitcoin Wikipedia for beginners. I love it.
Yeah,
In video, which is the best.
we're like a daily talk show. So we'll make you feel good about holding, essentially, right? And then we'll like the partners that we've picked are just all Bitcoin companies. So it's just entire Bitcoin programming from A to Z. And from what we've heard, a lot of the feedback we've heard is just like you guys have helped us get through the bear markets. Like you guys are just there every single day, and it gives us that kind of like reinforcement in our belief. And again, maybe if you're class of 2013, you know, I've heard some OGs like Simply Bitcoin, but maybe you don't tune in every day. But I promise you, if you're in the first couple years of Bitcoin, like you're consuming Bitcoin content
Oh, yeah.
regularly.
Tell me about it. I work oftentimes editing my own podcast, listening to you guys in the background, just chatting about what's happening today, this week. It helps me catch up, yeah, for sure. In the first 2 years, you consume a lot of that, for sure. Muzz, what do you want to leave us with?
Nothing I can add. I'm just lucky to be here with you guys. And
I love you and your jacket.
it's got to be really cool, though, in 2024, discovering Bitcoin and consuming that content. I remember what that was like, and they didn't have all this. They didn't have the
Yeah.
production value of a Simply Bitcoin or a lot of these podcasts. They didn't have the regularity of a daily show and the ease of watching it. You know, there was like 4 or 5 things online. You could watch a few Antonopoulos lectures that are still timeless today. You know, you had Tone and World Crypto Network and, you know, Adam Meister, you know, Ken Bozak. You had like 5 random kind of nut jobs, you know, little channels, but you didn't have like professional, real people that were taking it seriously and doing it every day. So that's a great level up for the 2024 person that's like, let me consume as much as I can, and you guys are giving them all the food in the buffet that they need every day.
Thank you. Do you want to leave the audience with a message before we end up?
Go to thunderfunder.com/simply right now.
And sign up, right?
And you can sign up. No, I mean, I would just say like it's a very unique moment in human history, and you have a opportunity to be a part of something bigger than yourself, and you have the opportunity to be a part of a revolution. And all that is required of you as an individual to be part of that revolution is to opt out of the system and take Bitcoin into self-custody. If enough of us do it, we will effectuate change without going through the traditional system of having to vote or like literally a kinetic revolution, which is not very nice. So we can actually change the world, and we can make the world a much better place. But it is going to require agency and action, and it's going to require a lot of individuals standing up and taking a personal responsibility over the sovereignty of their wealth. And I would say that's the call to action, is just take self-custody of your Bitcoin, and I guarantee you your life will improve over time.
Love it. Hallelujah. And where should people follow you guys?
Yeah, you can find, and you search Simply Bitcoin anywhere. If you want to follow me personally, go to BitVault and go check out thunderfunder.com/simply and check out Muzz.
Muzz?
Do not underestimate the dynamic human spirit that refuses to submit. The world is about to get better. these powers that control censorship, whether it's financial and social, they're all going away, okay? Pluto is moving into Aquarius.
Yay!
It's going to be very awesome. It happens mid-November. We're going forward.
Oh, wow.
But check out Lightning Ventures, ltng.ventures, and thunderfunder.com.
Awesome. You guys, I love you guys. I really, really thank you for doing this with me, like semi-spontaneously. I love the chat with you. I hope to have you back again on the show. And thank you so much for investing your time and energy in this community, in this ecosystem, building what you're passionate about. Thanks.
Shalom.
Shalom. Peace out.
Awesome. That was a lot of fun.
Quick break to share more about Nostr. I found out about a really cool Nostr initiative this week. Some good people decided to invest more time and energy in raising awareness to Nostr and educating people about it. So they set up this traveling Nostr booth in conferences and a series of special Nostr days in 3 cities, Buenos Aires, Sao Paulo, and San Salvador. It's a full-fledged community project, and they are crowdfunding for it on Gazer. If you're a supporter of free speech and freedom technologies, your donation would go a long way. The link to the crowdfunding page is in the show notes.
Conference booth. We are blooming here at the Nostr booth. It's amazing.
We are meeting amazing people, and I can really feel that this is a place where you can meet people working on different projects, people working on different products.
Why am I bullish on Nostr?
Because I met the most amazing people there.
I'm bullish on Nostr because of free speech, baby.
2 words, freedom and fun.